Have you ever noticed that even when your life is getting better, your nervous system can still struggle to catch up? If that sounds like you're not alone. So many high performers think that once they get the relationship, the business, the success, or the next chapter, the stress will disappear. But the truth is, growth stretches you too. Welcome back to the Higher Alignment Podcast. I'm Minty Lamb, and I help high performers regulate their nervous systems so they can actually create success without losing themselves in the process. And today's episode is honestly just a real vulnerable life update. We're talking grief, relationships, planning a wedding, business pressure, inner child healing, and what it actually looks like to apply this work in real time, not just teach it. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why healing isn't about becoming perfect or never getting triggered again. It's about learning how to hold yourself differently when life stretches you. So today is just going to be a yap session. I'm going to just update with you guys with what's been going on in my life. It's been a little while since I've done that. Hopefully you guys just finished listening to the High Performer mini reset series. If you haven't done that yet, please go do it because I talked about how my life has completely changed from when I was burnt out to how I'm living now. So if you're still consuming my content and wondering like, oh, does it actually work? Like, yeah, it does. So go back and listen to those. I dive into relationships. I dive into my relationship with food. I dive into how my day-to-day looks now. And it's all possible for you too. But the key is first you need to open yourself to wanting that change and wanting to live a different way. And then it's about having the right strategy. So today we're just going to do a little life update. It is May, when I'm filming this, it is May 12th. It'll be a few weeks removed from, or a few weeks past that by the time you guys listen to this episode. May's always an interesting month. First off, it's the month of my dad's birthday. It's also his death anniversary, which in Asian culture is a big deal. You actually, if I'm understanding correctly, and the way I've always witnessed it is you actually celebrate the death more frequently than you do a birthday. Not more frequently, with more intention and purpose. Like we were just in Vietnam in January, and it actually happened to be my grandfather's death anniversary. And so what they do is they come to the house, they light incense, they set up altars, and everyone comes and pays their respects. So we're actually going to be doing that this weekend for my dad. But it's a really interesting time. You know, grief is, it hits you when you least expect it. I've cried sitting at a stoplight. I've cried when I've seen people, on TV getting married and their dads are there. I cried the other day. The Oilers were still in the playoffs when this was happening. They are eliminated now, but Thomas wanted to watch the game. I didn't care about it. And my dad, there's a photo of my dad right underneath the TV, and he goes, "Your dad was a fan, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's saying you should watch the game." And he was like, it was a really sweet way for him to get me to watch it, but I started tearing up. So that's always a factor this time of year for me. And it's also like, it's just interesting when someone passes away because, life just continues on. And it's kind of sad in one regard to think like, wow, that like my father is no longer here and life just continues on, but it's just also the nature of life. And to me, it just gives a little perspective of like, all these things we worry about and we stress about. And it's like at the end of the day, what's the point? Like obviously I know you want the best for your relationships and your business and decisions and kids and all these things, decisions need to be made. But like sometimes it feels like, it'll keep us up at night or we'll spiral or we'll be in bad moods because of it. And it's like, is it like at the end of the day, we're all going to exit this earth and we're all going to leave. And guess what? Life's just going to keep going. So to me, it's almost like a little bit of a humbling moment to just like take a breather and relax and just like, it's going to work out. Don't worry. It's not life or death. If you get this client or you don't get this client or you break up with this person or you don't, I know it can feel like it in that moment, but it's just life. And life happens to all of us. And it's just the degree to which you take it in stride. and move through it and learn from it versus holding on and guilting yourself and, being really critical on yourself of how you handle things. Like that doesn't help anything at the end of the day. We think it's accountability when really it's just shame we're putting ourselves through. So that's one thing I always reflect on, with him this time of year. And yeah, miss him. And but I also know, he's I'm sure probably in a better place watching down on us. The wedding's coming up in September, so definitely gonna miss him there, but make sure we have his energy and his presence there. Uh, but it's always interesting. Another thing that's been going on in my life is there's so many good things, but also a lot of uncertainty. And I kind of talked about it in another episode um, regarding the nature of your thoughts. But it's interesting because this time in my life, the things that used to worry me don't worry me anymore, but it's other things now instead, which to me is just a byproduct of my nervous system. I've done a lot of work and I've had a lot of growth, but it's a continuous process, right? Like you don't just arrive at regulation and safety one day. You don't just arrive at this point where like, oh, my worries are all gone. I'll never worry about anything else in my life again. Like I wish maybe if you're a monk, it gets to that point, but just like a regular human, like there's always going to be something new that comes up. And I say to my clients all the time, we can't eliminate stress from your life, but we can teach you how to process it better, right? And manage it better. Um, so for me, what's interesting is before my relationships used to be the biggest stressor for me, that is the most secure part of my life. Like Thomas is incredible. The life we're building together is incredible. We are in a little bit of a transition period where with our living situation, because he has a house and a guest house. We're living in the guest house because we have incredible tenants we don't want to kick out. We're selling one of my condos in the city. We're renting out another condo, and then we're going to buy another house. So there's a little bit of like moving variables living wise, which it's fine, but there's a little bit of a like um not instability, but a little bit of like we're not going to be here for long. We're figuring out the next step. So that's like an interesting thing because all of that playing out. Again, we got one condo we're trying to sell. We got one condo we're trying to rent out. We're trying to figure out where we're going to buy. But we also we're planning a wedding in the meantime too. So my nervous system likes to plan ahead and have certainty. Of course, all of our nervous systems do. And so it's learning to let go and trust the process, but also like trust the process with another person. And as incredible as he is, and I'm so grateful for our relationship, he's an incredible partner. It's not just me anymore. It's me and him. And so I have to consider him as well too. And my mom actually says it to me all the time. Like she knows her daughter and she's like, Mintu, like, don't forget there's two of you. Like, you're not an independent woman making these decisions anymore. You're making a decision for you and your future husband. Like, so this needs to be two people like coming together. And so it's more of a place of like, I want to make sure I'm considering Thomas all the time and that he feels considered in all the decisions because I know that like how I can be. He says it all the time. He's like there's all these memes online he sees about like having a Vietnamese wife and like don't ever try and win an argument because you won't type thing. And he jokes around it. He's such a good sport about it all. But that's an adjustment for my nervous system. Okay, if you're an executive who's craving more clarity, happiness, and a sense of real inner peace in your day-to-day, make sure you hit follow so you never miss an episode. This show is here to help you lead, succeed, and actually feel good while doing it. And if something resonates today, give it a like and share it with someone else who could use a little bit more calm in their life too. I'm used to strategizing and planning ahead and knowing how I like to do things. And, he's a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more go with the flow, which I appreciate. Like, I'm so glad I have that balance in my life. But so when it comes to things like this, where there's lots of moving parts and selling and renting and all these things, he's just like, yeah, we're figuring it out. And me, I'm like, we need a plan. And it's actually been, probably weighing on my mental a little bit more than I thought it would. And I've been reflecting on why that is. And again, it goes back to like, I've never been in a partnership like this before. I've obviously been in other relationships, but I wouldn't call them partnerships. This is a partnership I'm in with him. Obviously hope so. We're getting married. But I've never had to integrate life with anyone to this degree. So it is a new chapter for me. And so part of me is like, oh, just relax, Mintu. And part of me knows this is also a stretch for me in the best direction. But, I've had nights where I'm worrying about it. I've over strategized, overthought, you know, and it's just been an interesting process for me. And again, the old Mintu probably would have never been stressed about it, just would have called a bunch of shots, made it happen, boom, 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 done. And that would have been my comfort zone of acting from fight or flight. And now I'm trying to just adjust to this new pace of life and approach things in a different way that are more regulated, more balanced. But again, it's a stretch. It's a stretch for my nervous system in a good direction. So that's been another thing that's been going on. um, Another thing, again, I'm just yapping today, guys, is the wedding. So we're in May. The wedding is the beginning of September. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but we decided to get married locally at this beautiful garden venue west of the city. We're having a fair-sized wedding. It's going to be about 150 people. But when we first got engaged in February, I was oh my God, the first month I was just a basket case. And Thomas said to me, he's like, if you stress yourself out planning this wedding, I'm canceling the wedding and we're going to Mexico to get married. Like, he was just like, he's so sweet. He's like, all he cares about is me being in a good space. And so he's like, if this continues, like, we're eloping, like, because I don't want to see you go through this. And so it was a good wake up call for me. And so what I did was I have now broken out all my to-dos into monthly things. So May's got a list, June's got a list, July, August, leading up to the wedding. And that has really helped because it's not on the list for that month. It's not getting done. It's getting delayed. I'll deal with it in June. I'll deal with it in July, and that has actually really helped my peace of mind. Also helped me stay regulated while I'm planning the process. And Thomas is so good. He's like, and a lot of people have told me this too. They say the wedding itself, the day is going to come and go so fast. So what you need to do is you need to soak up the journey and the process of planning the wedding as well. And so I'm so grateful that's something that him and I have been really intentional about. So we actually just got our engagement photos yesterday. And so, we weren't even going to do engagement photos. I'm so glad we decided to. But he had a beautiful blue suit. I had this dress that I got my mom to modify to elevate it, and it came out stunning. It's stunning. I'm gonna do a post on Instagram about like how she took it from here to here because she just elevated it so much, the dress. We got the photos done, and then we went and had lunch after at where we had our first date, which is Tiramisu Bistro, and it ended up being a great day. And again, what we want to do is make sure we're savoring these little baby steps that are leading up to the wedding. And if I would have still been in the state I was in when we first got engaged, I probably would have not appreciated the day as much. And it would have been more of we needed like a check, check, check for me. And instead, I got to be present. I got to be in my feminine. I got to feel beautiful. I got to share this moment with my fiance, so it's been a really interesting process. And, it goes back to what I talk about a lot, where it's like, good things are stressful too. So I have to remind people all the time, like, just because it's good, we think it's going to be all of a sudden like, yay, okay, cool. Like, it's going to take away all my worry. And it's like, no, good things are stressful too, because it's not the thing that's generating the stress. It's how you respond to said thing that affects how you feel, right? So of course, this wedding, most exciting thing ever right now in my life. Awesome. But now, what I did before, what I had done was now this became the new target. This is my new, whatever it was in business before, the new financial goal, the new title. Now it's just the wedding. And so, I was just now taking my high achiever attitude towards my wedding, which I still am to a degree, but I had to check myself and reel it back in and do it in a regulated way. So I'm not robbing myself of the enjoyment of this process. Right? Because the reality is a wedding is a production. It's a show. It's a production celebrating love, but it's a production. I'm a dancer. Okay. I've been in crews. I've been a competitive dancer all my life. Putting on production is my wheelhouse. I love this shit. Okay. And so, like, even the other day, we were talking, my brothers and my mom and I, and they're like, "Oh, on the day of, you won't even care about the little details. Like, you're just gonna be so happy you're there." And part of me is like, "Yeah, maybe." But I'm also like, I come from the showbiz world. I look at how the music's being queued up, where's the seating, like, and not from like a neurotic bride, like it is a bit of a neurotic bride standpoint, but like I put productions on, like I look at how events and shows are curated. Like that's something I enjoy doing, whether it be a wedding or a dance performance or a theater show or whatever. Like I enjoy that process. So like I've also kind of accepted my fate of like I have a day of coordinator. I also have a lot of type A girlfriends who are stepping in to help, which is awesome. So I don't have to do as much the day of. But I've also accepted like, yeah, I want things to be done a certain way that day. And I'm okay with that. Like I'm not going to try and be this laid back, chill bride all day long. Of course, I want to be present in the moment. I'm not going to be like a basket case, but I still want things done a certain way. So I'm just putting things in place to make sure that hopefully that happens or we can avoid any like craziness happening. Um, but again, I could very much rob myself of the enjoyment of this journey if I didn't regulate through it, if I didn't set some boundaries with myself around it. If I didn't let go of a little bit of control, right, bringing in people to help me, like I could easily burn myself out planning a wedding. And again, that's where people get it twisted or think that, again, now I want my business to explode so bad. It's like, okay, so when that business explodes, you need to be ready for the dysregulation that's going to come along with it. Good dysregulation, and it doesn't have to burn you out if you have the proper tools. I have a client doing that right now. His business is on pace to double this year in revenue. And he's like, Mindu, there's a lot going on. I'm like, okay, right. So this is exactly what we wanted. But now we also have to work with the nervous system to expand to this next level that you're growing into. And for me, the expansion is the wedding. The expansion is into a marriage, which is, again, just what I've always wanted. And I'm so grateful for the partner I have. He's better than I could have ever imagined, but I got to be gentle with my nervous system in the process. One of the biggest struggles for high achievers is they can't tell whether they're burnt out or just overly tired. That's why I created the High Performer Stress Assessment, which will assess exactly what your mind and body are struggling with and what you need to start feeling more balanced, grounded, and happy ASAP. It only takes 2 minutes to complete, and you can find the link in the show notes below. It's just been really interesting, like going along for this ride. And, um, you know, it's also interesting because my business, I've been having incredible results with my clients, but it's probably been the slowest quarter that I've had in a while. Um, as far as new clients being bringing on, lots of clients, extending and taking their journeys further, which is great because that means we're getting great results and we want to build on it. And like the transformations I'm seeing, like, God, it's the most fulfilling thing in the world to see like lights going off for someone and them making tangible changes in their life to actually like enjoy their life more and feel more at peace in their life. Like it's the most fulfilling thing ever. But it's interesting because from an intake standpoint, it's been a little bit slower than it normally is. And so it's also highlighted for me that there is still some work to do around this wound of feeling like I'm only worthy if I'm producing or I'm performing or based on how much money I make. I thought I had resolved a lot of that, but it actually highlighted it because I've had moments where I've started to panic a little bit and like, I need to do more, I need to push harder. When I consciously know that's not the reason, that's not the answer. The answer is I need to come back into regulation. I need to get back to having fun again. I need to come back to embodiment of what I know this work is about because that's what people are attracted to, right? People are attracted to embodiment, to capacity, So if I'm over here thinking I need to put out more content so more people see me so that they want to do work with me, that like goes against everything that I'm talking about in my content, right? And again, full transparency, I've had multiple moments of doing that. I've had days where I've actually acted on that. And then I have to reel myself back in and be like, what am I doing? This is counterintuitive. This is counter supportive to what my business is about, the science that actually works behind this, But life, and I could sit here and pretend that I'm regulated all the time and I always know the answer. I still have dysregulating moments. I still go into fight or flight more than I probably like to admit. That's decades of programming that I'm still working through, and it doesn't get activated as quickly. I don't sit in it as long as I used to, but it still happens because, again, my nervous system is being stretched in different ways. I have my own business now. I'm getting married. These are things that are exciting but are stretching me, right? So with this season of being a little bit slower, I had to look at, like, what is the universe, what is God asking of me right now? And the reality is I've always been so business focused. I've never had to, like, even though I wanted relationships, I've never had to put that much energy or attention into them. I've never had to plan a wedding. I've never had to move out of into someone else's home and sell other homes. Like, these are all other things that seem easy, but they do require capacity from me, right? So it's like, okay, so my business could keep, like, ramping up, but then where would I have the capacity to deal with all these other things? And the reality is those other things are really important to me too. So it's like the universe knowing, like, hey, we just need to adjust some pacing here so you can properly grow and expand into all the things you're doing in your life. That's not an easy lesson sometimes. Because to me, I'm like, more clients, more clients, more clients, more clients. Of course, that's what we all want, right? But if I know I'm showing up every day, which is all I can control, I'm showing up online, I'm fulfilling the clients that I have and getting great results for them. I'm starting conversations, creating community, and I'm embodying the work. If I'm doing that, then the business will come. The clients will come when they're supposed to, right? But I have to really own that space. And what was coming up for me was there was still this little girl inside who felt like if she wasn't performing at a certain level, then that means she wasn't worthy. Then that means then that means something bad's going to happen. If I'm not performing at this level, then I'm going to end up desolate, I'm going to end up broke, I'm going to lose the condos, which lose the house, lose the relationship. None of that's going to happen. Because first of all, that's never happened. I've never been broke. I've never not had, like, properties. And I'm not saying that from a bragging standpoint. I've worked my ass to keep myself in those positions, right? But what I'm saying is that's where your mind goes when this young wound is still there. And she's worrying about, like, if I don't produce at a certain level, then I'm not going to be worthy. God's not going to take care of me. The universe isn't going to take care of me. Everything's going to fall apart. Which what that reinforces is I'm not worthy as a human being as it is. I have to work and earn and perform to have these things, right? To be taken care of, essentially. And, like, yes, on a certain level, I do have to keep working. I do have to show up. If I just stop posting content, shut down all my channels of access, like, yeah, no one's going to find me. No one's going to work with me. That's real, right? But if I'm continuing to show up and take steps like I did before with other great years I've had, then it's all gonna pan out. It's all gonna work out. But there's this little girl inside who's still very scared that it won't. So for me, what I've been doing lately is I've been spending more time with my inner child. And that just means talking to her and showing her that she is safe, that she is loved no matter how much business she does that month. Doesn't matter how many clients sign up. Doesn't matter how much money you've sold the condo for. Like, all these things that I used to attribute my worth to, I now have to talk to her and show her that I love her regardless. Because she used to feel like I only loved her and anyone only loved her if she was performing. If you're a high achiever, you probably feel the exhaustion that comes with always pushing and carrying the load. And here's the honest truth. Burnout doesn't fix itself by working harder or pushing more. You're not meant to just survive your success. You're someone who leads with impact and depth and intention, and you deserve to feel calm and connected while doing it. So imagine showing up present for your work and your personal relationships, feeling calm and grounded instead of constantly stretched. If that's what you want, this is exactly what we do in the Higher Alignment program. Book your assessment call through the link in the show notes, and let's get you back to balance and back to feeling like yourself again. So this is the same thing I did right before I started dating Thomas and before he came into my life. Was I had a little girl who felt like she wasn't lovable, and that was showing up in the relationships I was choosing. So what I did at that time was I had said, and this is coming full circle for me right now, I had told her, I will never, because I remember I was laying there in bed, I was crying, And I was like, "What do you need right now?" Because I was crying so, so hard. And I was like, "I need someone to tell me they're gonna love me no matter what, that they're gonna be by my side, that they're gonna love me and ride this roller coaster of life with me no matter what." And then I responded to myself like, "Well, there's no one else here to make that happen, so you need to make that happen for yourself." And so I held my heart and I closed my eyes and I saw this little version of me who's 3 years old with the bowl cut. And I said, "I am so sorry that all the love and energy and effort I gave everyone else, I wasn't giving you because you were the one who needed it the whole time." And I just bawled, and something in that moment changed in me. And I told her, I said, "I promise you moving forward, it doesn't matter who comes along. It doesn't matter how much my business takes off. I will never put those things above you again. I will never put a relationship or my business in front of you and what you need ever again." I said this to my little girl. And so that was so deeply healing. And I worked on that for months, really till Thomas showed up. And even now, in that way, how I'm able to show up for her within my relationship is I just continuously voice my needs. I'm very honest with him on how I'm feeling when I'm feeling emotional or what I need. Like I don't suppress that part of me or her because that's who really needs it is the little kid version of me. Um, but so what I'm realizing with my business is I've done a lot of work in the relationship area, but there's still this business side of things where when business slowdowns, I'm quick to sacrifice her again. Okay, don't worry about that. We need to work more. We need to push harder, da 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 da. But it's like that's going against the promise I made her, right? That's going against the promise I made her where it said that business is more important than her. So what I've been doing now is when I'm starting to feel that state egg on, I go lay down, I put a hand on my chest, a hand on my stomach, and I just ask her, "What do you need? How are you feeling right now?" And she usually just says, "Well, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job," or "I feel like I need to play," or "I feel like I need to be held and I just need some attention." And I just sit there and I tell her, "Hey, I love you again, whether you signed up a client or not this month. I love you whether you signed up 5 clients or not this month. It doesn't matter to me. I love you just the way you are. And I'm here for you. And whatever you need, if you need some sleep, if you need some play, if you need some, some food or to go to the bathroom, you need a hug, whatever you need, I'm going to give that to you because to me, it doesn't matter about those other things. I just love you for who you are." And what that's done is every day that I've done that, the next day, I'm much more in a safer, or not even the next day, just right after that happens, I'm much more grounded and present in my body. I'm more safe in my body. And now my attitude's gone from, "Oh, I'm not doing enough. I need to push harder," to like, just keep showing up and it's going to work out. Just keep showing up and it's going to work out. Just keep showing up. It's going to work out. The breakthrough is going to come. Just trust me. Just trust me. Right? It's a much more safe and regulated response. But, I'm going to be honest. It took me a couple months aspiring before I got here. Like I'm starting to feel a lot more clarity and embodiment. But this is the whole point. It's so easy to give this information to other people. It's different when we have to apply it ourselves. I go through that same process, but it's again, the state of your nervous system determines the state of your experience and your thoughts. And for me, I've just realized that there's a little bit more work to do with little Mintu, and I'm going to keep doing that work with her. But it's a beautiful opportunity for me to heal more of that wound of feeling like my worth is attached to what I can do for others and my performance. And I also believe deep down that that's healing me to become a mom. We had a miscarriage in December. And when I think about all the work I do, while yes, it's here to help executives and professionals, it really is preparing me to be a mother who knows how to regulate her nervous system so that I can be the best parent I can for my kids with all the information I've learned now. And they're still going to end up a little screwed up. We all do, okay? Because I'm not perfect. If anyone who does this work is not perfect. It's just part of the lessons of life. Like, I'm gonna give a couple issues to my kids. It's just, the nature of it. But being able to embody that my worth isn't dependent on my relationship. My worth isn't dependent on my money or how much I make. That is a deep rooted lesson that I want to learn and I want to heal so that I can pass that on to my kids. So that's a little bit of life right now, guys. I know I just kind of went all over the map, but I just wanted to share with you where I'm at. again, lots of exciting things coming up, lots of exciting wedding things coming up. I got a stagette coming up. We got a wedding shower coming up. All these things that I wasn't even intending on having, but beautiful. My mother-in-law, my mom, my girlfriends are all throwing these things for me. So it's just really exciting. But again, life has its polarity. There's some really great things. There's some harder things. And I guess the reason I want to share this is I have always found it very comforting to know that people who do this work deeply still go through things. And that might sound weird, but I don't want a facilitator or a practitioner who's never experienced heartbreak or heartache or these wounds, because I don't think you can be a good practitioner if you don't. And that also means you're a good practitioner if you're constantly applying the knowledge and having to adapt and pivot, because it's giving your clients better wisdom, better regulation. Like, you can show up for them in a more in-depth way. And so, I actually find it really comforting when I hear struggle stories of people and how they've come out from it. And I think that was just my intention today, was just to get on here and yap. And hopefully some part of this stuck out to you, and hopefully some part of it resonates. And I always have open DMs on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can always message me, ask questions. I love to engage and connect with my community. And that's what it's all about. The things as humans that we're typically the most embarrassed about or ashamed about are usually the things that bring us closer together, and the things that actually make us feel more seen and heard and connected. So whatever you got going on, shoot a DM. I'm here.